Second resource is space. Space is a very important resource. That's that facility where you're going to practice. It may be a beautiful practice field like we're using to film this video. It may just be a corner lot. It may be a gymnasium. It may be somebody's backyard. It could be a parking lot. It could be pretty, it could be rough, it could have holes, it could have dirt, it can have grass. You're going to have all types of areas in which you practice. Survey that practice area, whatever it is, and see what about that area helps you do a better job in organizing your practices. Do we have fences? How high are they? Are there walls around? What's the dirt like? Is there a big enough area to do the skill development that you want to do? Survey that practice area and make the most of it. Now, what we want to do for the next few minutes is specifically take some of these items that you normally find on practice areas and see how you as a coach can make the best of this resource we call space. For example, let's take fences. Most practice areas have some sort of fence around it. They may not, but they normally have at least a backstop. You've got some type of fence out there. Look at your field where you're practicing and see how much fence you've got and think of ways to use it. One of the things that you can do to help with your practices is make sure people don't have to chase balls. Use fences to be at least behind one of the people who's practicing throwing. If partners are warming up before practice, have them throw where there's a fence behind at least one of the partners, so that when they have a ball thrown wildly, they don't have to chase it as far. Or perhaps you can do a throwing drill into a fence so that you don't have to chase the ball after you throw it. The swimming drill that we've mentioned and talked about, where a player's down on their knee throwing a ball. No better place to do that into a fence. Then nobody has to chase the ball. Hitting. All types of hitting drills can be done into fences. Off of tees, with a ball toss. Various types of hitting drills can utilize fences. Now, coaches, sometimes the people who own these fields, the recreation departments or associations, will not want you to hit regular balls into those fences. You may want to use some type of safety ball or plastic ball or sock ball or whatever, but utilize your fences in your hitting drills. Maybe not even just where you hit the ball, but where you work on stride. If we've got a player who overstrides and we want to shorten that stride, we may place her just a few inches from a fence and have her work on her stride into that fence. Or if she carries her weight forward, we may want to have her work on striding away from the fence so that she doesn't take her weight with her when she does her stride. We can even use pitching drills where fences become a barrier. We might want to hang a blanket on a fence or just use a fence beside a player, either for fast pitch where they're working on that proper arm action, or in slow pitch where we place a girl on a bucket and have her sit by a fence and work on that correct arm action in the path of the arm in a straight line toward home plate. So coaches, make the most of fences. They're a great resource when you look at the resource of space. Fences can help you a lot in conducting better practices. Then look around you to see if you've got any walls. We want players to get a lot of ground balls. You can hit so many and throw so many, but they can get a lot of ground balls from walls. They can throw the ball up against the wall and get all types of ground balls back to them. And they can throw them from various angles and make themselves have to go right or left. So look around you and use walls for fielding practice. And just like we use fences to work on a stride correction, we can also use a wall for that. It becomes an excellent barrier. And again, just like we use fences for the correct arm action in pitching, we can use walls for the same kinds of things. Maybe the side of a concession stand or a storage building, maybe the back of a dugout. But look around you and see if you've got some walls that can be of use. Bases. Some fields have bases, some don't. But you don't necessarily have to have a Hollywood base on your field to practice base running. You can draw squares in the dirt. You can take a magazine. You can take a towel that's folded up. You can create bases from anything basically that's a square and use that for not only base running, but also maybe for fielding practice. If you need players to have their feet spread so that they've got good balance and control, what better way to do that than to spread their feet around the base? So use bases not only for base running practice, but also for fielding practice. Then keep in mind stations. The principle of stations is very valuable in using your space. Spread players out and have them rotate from one place to another. They may stay at station 1 for 5 minutes working on a particular hitting drill, then move to station 2, for 5 more minutes, and then move to station 3 for 5 more minutes. You may set up 6 or 8 or 10 stations, whatever your situation might be. But keep players moving in multiple drills from one area to another of the field. And finally, coaches, remember that your practice field is not the only place that players need to practice. They need to practice at home. There's a lot of things they can do in their backyard, or with the wall at their house somewhere, or with a mirror. A great way to learn proper throwing action is to throw a ball into a mirror. Now wait a minute before you think about, hey, we're going to break a lot of mirrors and make a lot of mamas mad, and we certainly don't need that. Think about a safety type of a ball. Maybe some socks rolled up, maybe newspaper wadded up and taped. These kind of things make great balls to throw into floor-length mirrors and watch your own throwing action. So the space that you have can be better utilized if you'll just think a little bit. Look around you, look at the fences, the walls, the bases, the station areas that you've got, and even your backyard and your mirror at home. Utilize the space you have to organize better practices.